we did it again. Verizon was just named America's most reliable network by Root Metrics for the 16th time in a row, proving once again that nobody builds networks like Verizon builds networks. That's why we're building 5G right. That's why there's only one best network, Verizon. Best and most reliable based on Root Metrics reports from second half 2013 to first half 2021 of 3 operators on all network types combined, not specific to 5G networks.
Check out the latest footwear innovation from Adidas, the Adizero Adios Pro 2, which features carbon fiber energy rods that are both lightweight and precisely tuned for a more anatomical transition. Everything from the ultra-light polyester upper to the re-sculpted midsole and the reinvented outsoles are designed for speed. Visit adidas.com to learn more today.
Finally, I'm back.
You're back.
Yes, Adam. Yes, my co-host already spoke, so it's weird. Great Match Generator's back on the Social Suplex Podcast Network, and we didn't really formally introduce ourselves, and I made a new logo. I didn't make the logo. I paid somebody on $5 or $10. Behind the scenes. I just wanted to roll this out the best way I possibly could, you know. Matt was very gracious. Shout out to Matt. And letting me find a new co-host for this. And it was, and I had some personal stuff going on. So it's just been a wild ride here. Welcome to Great Match Generator. I think we started off like the Voices of Wrestling flagship with a bunch of nonsense, honestly, but it's okay. But we review great matches here randomly on the Great Match Generator podcast. I have my co-host Adam Yeary.
What's up, y'all? Glad to be part of the show. Glad to be part of the network. I've been wanting to do a podcast for a long time, specifically about older wrestling. Specifically, even more so about a smorgasbord of like everything, all encompassing. I want WWF, All Japan, Puerto Rico, you name it, Stampede. I'll watch it all.
Yes, and this is the perfect podcast to do it because we literally watch everything. We literally do. And it's just been a wild ride. We watched 58 matches between my co-hosts and myself. It's just 58 matches is a lot. And then the ballots actually due for the Greatest Match Ever project in November. They do it every year. They initially do it SummerSlam, but now they're doing it Survivor Series every year. And now Greatest Wrestler Ever has been launched, and it's just been one big happy family.
I actually haven't. I didn't know they do that every year. I'm excited. Now I'm really excited. Hell yeah!
2026 is the Greatest Wrestler Ever project. That's the major one that they're doing over at Pro Wrestling Only and over at Discord. So, it's really cool. We have watch parties all the time on Saturdays. Discussions about wrestlers. It's a really engaging community over there. I'm giving a plug out to Stephen Graham and everybody over there because it's a welcoming and engaging community over there at Greatest Wrestler Ever, Discord, and at Pro Wrestling Only. And here is Great Match Generator, where we watch the great matches of these great wrestlers. We're just gonna list off the matches to start. I forgot how to do this podcast because it's been such a while.
Hey, I'm a rookie. I can't help you.
No, you can't help me. So we have Bob Backlund versus Greg Valentine from WWF, 11/23/1981. Rick Rude versus Ricky Steamboat, 2/29/92. Misawa Kobashi versus Holy Demon Army of Toshiaki Kawada and Akira Taue. And the first names are Mitsuharu Misawa and Kenta Kobashi, if you didn't know already. I think you would know if you're listening to this podcast, but if you didn't, now you know. All Japan Pro Wrestling 12/3/93, and then Vader versus Stan Hansen, a quite famous match from 2/10/1990. And we're going to start in date order, like we always do on Great Match Generator, with Bob Backlund versus Greg Valentine. And we said we would have takes for this one. And boy, this was just a match.
It was. Okay, so I'll start with giving some background. When I texted you the other day and I was like, hey, how long is this match? For some reason, like, I just hadn't looked at it. I hadn't looked at the link you would give me, and I was like busy at work trying to schedule things out. And I had in the back of my mind that this would be like 60 minutes for some reason. And I was like, oh, fuck no. So at least it was short. At least it was a short match, regular match. It was just a match, but at least
it was an old barred match.
Yeah. So I want your takes on Bob Backlund.
Fiery white meat babyface.
Yeah, but he's
bland.
And I don't think I watched that match and all I could think is, oh my God, Valentine's great here. Like, I don't know how Backlund got away with like having matches with people that weren't Valentine's level. Like, I was watching just like Backlund's offense and his selling, and I was just like,
yeah.
I will say, I mean, the territory matches, you know, back in the territorial days, that crowd was hot. I mean, the crowd was hot on all the matches we watched, but that crowd was hot for Backlund.
Yeah, MSG loved Backlund, and that's one of the things that sort of fueled what Backlund was. And if there was background to this, this match was from a disputed finish from last month's show where Backlund where Valentine sort of walked out as champion but not won the match, so the championship was held up, not officially, but Valentine essentially walked out with the bell, and they sort of had a feud based off of that. So there must be a winner. So this made sense in terms of the story that they were trying to tell.
Yeah. I mean, because
Backlund's offense is very aggressive. I really like Backlund's offense. He's very stiff.
Yeah. They got right into it. It was a real hot start, which was good. And I kind of knew about the feud, but not exactly. Again, old WWF isn't really my go-to, but it started off real hot. And Greg, they said Backlund comes out there and he's molly-whopping Greg. Greg's selling it really well, really, really well. So after the hot start, what did you think of the match?
It slowed down a little bit, but the leg work sort of made sense for Backlund submission.
Yeah.
The match made sense. It's not like the match didn't make sense. It's just
the psychology was there.
It's like the psychology was there. It's just you didn't have it. Maybe because I didn't feel it at the time, and I don't have an emotional attachment to Bob Backlund, and I don't have an emotional attachment to Greg Valentine. I still thought this was a very good match.
Yeah.
So fundamentally, this is a very good match. This is fundamentally how to get heat, how to have a control period, how to do everything correctly.
They slow it down and they get into that spot where Valentine just milks the shit out of this figure 4 spot.
Oh yeah.
And it works. The crowd just stays hot through the whole thing. It worked so well. I mean, again, I don't need every match to be Low Key versus Amazing Red or anything.
Or the match we watched. Or the tag match we watched.
Yeah. But I need a little bit more to. So it was kind of like, I don't know. After a while in the figure 4 spot, I'm like, I get it. The crowd's hot, but like, all right, let's move on to the next thing. And then, I mean, they milked the hell out of that 10 count too. The double down. That spot's just undefeated back in the territory days. You always get the crowd to do the 1, 2. Always worked back then.
Yeah, they really milked the crowd for every second they had, and I thought it was the right amount of time too. It didn't go too long.
That was going to be, I meant to bring that up earlier when I was talking about it, asking about the length. Like, I always prefer, if I watch like the old 80s matches, like the early 80s matches from certain territories, New York being one, like, I hate the idea of the long matches because I'm like, man, if these guys just went out there and did their thing for 15 to 20, it would be a great match. I don't need 60 minutes of it every time.
Right. But these guys went out there for 15, 20 minutes and just milked the crowd for what it's worth. And probably could have been 10, but still, this was very good for what it was. I still give it 4 stars.
I think I would have went around. Okay, so I'm really bad about finishes. And I noticed, did it seem like the ref fast counted on the finish?
Yeah, you're a nitpicker about finishes.
Yeah. And just the way the ref, I don't need like the Earl Hebner WrestleMania.
1, 2.
Yeah, I don't need that, but I also don't need. And so he hits him with the German.
You don't need the lucha. You don't need the lucha.
He hits him with the German. Bam, bam, bam. And I'm like, oh, you kind of killed it for me there too. So I'd say I'd probably go 3.5. But
I think that's fair.
But also, it's not my style. It's just not for me.
Not for me, but I sort of validate like what people see in this style of match. And I think the 84 match is better, which we watched on here.
I'll have to watch that.
I rated the 84 match 4.5. Very similar style, but Backlund being a lot more fiery.
Yeah. I really haven't seen enough like prime Greg Valentine either. So that's something I hope I can get into soon. Him and Adrian Adonis are the ones that I need to are just blind spots for me for some reason.
Yeah. I understand. Greg Valentine's very good.
Yeah.
Backlund's very good here too. It's just, Greg Valentine stood out a lot more as the heel. But Vader Hansen, this match, disgusting.
So this was officially the first match I watched for this podcast. I had never watched it because, as I told you, and as I'll tell our audience, I am extremely squeamish about things, or I used to be at least. I'm not as bad now. And I always just thought, ew, dude, the guy's eye pops out. I don't need to see that. And it honestly wasn't as bad as me, when I would read about it when I was 15. It wasn't that gory, but it's still fucked up to see.
Yeah, it was still I've never seen this match either. This was just King Kong versus Godzilla.
Yeah.
Essentially what Superstar Sweet said in the greatest match ever forum. This was essentially that. But it was a Haas battle. Nothing more, nothing less. They just beat the ever-living shit out of each other.
I mean, they get right into it. They get right into another hot start for our match, or for us this on this episode. They get right into it. I mean, they're pounding the fuck out of each other. I mean, Vader is just beating the shit out of Hansen to start off with. And, I mean, they don't stop either. And Hansen's got, like, this sell to him where it's like, yeah, Vader's punching the shit out of him. And, yeah, it's hurting him, but he's still, like, kind of has that, is that all you got feel to it? I was like, all right, hell yeah. And then, you know, Hansen starts fighting back. And, yeah, stiff.
And the eye pop out.
Yeah, the eye pops out like 6 minutes in. They wrestle for another, what, like
9?
10, yeah, like it was like 10 minutes or something. Vader's jumping off the top rope with one eye. Like, they keep going for like 10 minutes. I was stunned. I just thought, like, I don't know. The match wasn't what I envisioned after all these years. It was actually so much better because it's just nonstop brawling. Like, and I'm a huge fan of both of these guys. These guys, everything I said about Backlund and Valentine, these guys are not blind spots for me. When I first got into buying DVDs, it was, let me get everything with Hansen and Brody. Obviously, I was a big fan of Vader because, you know, just growing up watching WCW, how could you not be? Yeah. Oh, what an insane match. Yeah. Oof.
Oh, it could have been so much. I don't think it could have been more, but I feel like we were robbed. It was weird. It was a weird feeling.
Yeah, it felt like some of those like early 80s All Japan matches where too much shit happened and then it went quickly to the fuck finish and you were just like, only those matches didn't involve someone having their eye pop out. But yeah, it's just a great spectacle though. Like, it's hard to really rate it as a wrestling match. You know, like, you can't compare it to Hammer versus Backlund or whatever, you know. I went like 4.5 on it, but I don't know. It was weird.
I went 4 flat.
4 flat. All right.
I went 4 flat. I could see why you went 4.5. Honestly,
I like a good spectacle. I like a match that feels just completely different. Like, that's why I'll like, I don't know. I probably liked Punk versus Darby more than most people. Well, obviously they're live. That's cheating. But like, I probably like that more than most people. Like, I don't remember what Meltzer rated it, but it was a spectacle. The whole thing was a spectacle. It could have been a fucking 2-star match. The crowd made it into something that, like, it was a special emotion. And just, you know, and this was a spectacle too. I also did the same. I don't know if you watched Gage versus Cardona. That was a spectacle. I was like, you can't really skip this, but I fucking love it.
correct in that assumption there. There's nothing much more to say about this match.
Yeah,
a lot more to say about the next two.
Yeah.
Because there's actual spots to go over.
Yeah.
But these two were treats.
Yeah.
First two. But Rick Rude versus Ricky Steamboat. Season 2, Episode 1, Super Brawl.
Yeah. I was so, like, I've heard people complain about it, and I've never had to, like, search for anything on Peacock. So, like, I've heard, like, I think, you know, like, Rich and Joe on the flagship, they'll talk about, oh, it's so dumb that we can't just name this Royal Rumble whatever year. We have to name it season whatever, episode whatever. And but I never really had to search for it. So then when I searched for it, I was like, oh, well, yeah, it's.
You can't search by match.
Huh?
And you can't search by match.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't know that either, because any experience I've had on Peacock, I kind of just I'll just oh, hey, I want to watch WCW. Let me find a random show from 1989. And it's never a point where I was like, oh, I have to fast forward and figure out oh shit, there's Rick Rude. Okay, stop, rewind, play.
Yeah, luckily I have the commercial version of Peacock, which is a little better than having the commercial-free version of Peacock, because you could just, because the commercials are right at the match points.
Yeah.
And it's actually a benefit of having the ad-supported version of Peacock. But
okay.
Rude gets nuclear heat pre-match feel.
Yeah, my first note is Rick Rude. I don't think he's actually the GOAT, but my first note here is Rick Rude = GOAT heel. That man was so good, and I feel like somewhere along the lines, he kind of got lost in the shuffle of the guys we call great. I feel like when you start listing those heels from that era, he shouldn't be too far behind Perfect, right?
No, Perfect's far more revered than Rude, but it shouldn't be that far. It shouldn't be that far.
Yeah, it shouldn't be this giant gap between the two.
No, I agree. Because the nuclear heat he got here was jarring almost.
Yeah. Well, since we're talking about him being one of the greatest heels ever, I don't know if you saw my tweet about Ricky Steamboat, but I was like, this man is a generational bell-to-bell baby face. I don't think you can name Ricky Morton, maybe Bryan Danielson, Rey Mysterio, Brett. Those are the guys I would probably put up there with him as guys.
Yeah.
Sami Zayn, when he was at his peak at Generico, as Generico, would probably be up there. But I'm just watching him. I'm like, this is the best fucking babyface I've ever seen in my life. Not that that's a secret to anyone, but yeah. All right, so yeah, get into the match.
Steamboat, almost knows exactly what to do to get sympathy.
Yeah, at all times. And just his facial expressions, the way he moves, it's just incredible. And also, I don't want to talk too much about current shitty wrestling. I'll gladly talk about how great some matches were from last night or whatever on Dynamite. But I thought about Ricky Steamboat if 2021 WWE had him, and how he'd be like Bailey. They'd have him turned heel. He'd be like a cringe mid-card heel. And you'd just be he'd be out there cutting promos. You'd be like, you get it? Because he's a fucking dope. Yeah. Boo. All right.
That's not how you do a generational babyface, but I digress. But this match opens up with standard Steamboat sequence.
They start off. Steamboat just starts off, and Rick Rude's so good at the beginning at just working with Steamboat. And it doesn't have the feeling that Flair always had with Steamboat, where it's oh, these guys have worked together a million times. They're gonna do.
Oh, right, yeah.
It feels super familiar. This just felt a really good babyface versus a really good heel. Like, not to say Ric Flair, what you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. Like sometimes with Flair Steamboat matches, you know spot for spot what's gonna come.
Yeah. Irish whip into the corner. Flair does the flip over the top rope. It's yeah. They also Jesse and JR were great here. That's one of my early notes too. What are your thoughts on Jesse?
Jesse was great. He was fantastic.
I know some
playing
people
the foil to JR.
Yeah. I just know some people that don't like him, or like I'll listen to like The Last Fan and they'll point out stuff where I'm like, damn, I never noticed that. Was he bad? I don't remember him being bad. But yeah, Jesse and JR were great here. Also, this is like the second show they worked together, so they didn't want to kill each other yet.
No. Like, I think Jesse can be grating at times, but so can Heenan.
Yes.
To compare.
Yeah.
Like, their best calls are comparable. Like, Rumble 92 for Heenan is, like, awesome. And then what is Jesse's best call?
I don't even know. I mean, no, I don't think anyone has a call. I don't think anyone has a call as good as Royal Rumble 92.
No.
Especially because it's an hour of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true. And that's the only Royal Rumble match on this.
Is that on here?
Yeah, it is.
All right, I hadn't scrolled through the whole list yet, but I'm excited for that one. I try to watch that every like January.
Oh, I watch it every January too. And I wasn't alive in 1992, but we'll get to it when we get to it.
The limb work is great. And the limb work gave me my two highlights of the match. Rick Rude doing his little swivel thing, like the hip swivel thing.
Oh my God.
And still selling. He did it twice. That's fucking incredible.
Yes. I noticed that too. I was like, bruh.
There was also not too long after, it was either, I think it was the second time where he sold after the swivel.
Check out the latest footwear innovation from Adidas, the Adizero Adios Pro 2, which features carbon fiber energy rods that are both lightweight and precisely tuned for a more anatomical transition. Everything from the ultra-light polyester upper to the re-sculpted midsole and the reinvented outsoles are designed for speed. Visit adidas.com to learn more today.
Gym sessions and sweaty summer activities are back, which means more funky smells in your clothes because sweat leaves behind bacteria that causes those hard-to-remove odors. Clorox fabric sanitizer products are ready to zap the stink out of fabrics in your home by getting rid of 99.9% of odor-causing bacteria. Eliminate odors in every load or sanitize fabrics between washes with one of our fabric sanitizer products. Search fabric sanitizer at Clorox.com to learn more. When it counts, trust Clorox. Use as directed.
Goes up to the top rope and hits this little chop, and Steamboat does this like drop dead sell, and I was just like, it was one of the best sells I've seen in a long time. It was really good.
Steamboat just knows how to sell. It's just something that's ingrained in him.
Oh, we were talking about the announcing. Did you catch? They were talking about people's physiques, and JR just blurts out in 1992, so you know exactly why he's saying it. Yeah, well, there's no money in bodybuilding.
O.J. Simpson?
Yeah, JR said that. I was cracking up because it's clearly a shot at the W. Oh, I was cracking up. And JR ends up working there, what, a year later?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And then my only other note about this, and I'll let you get into whatever you've got. WCW was so bad at booking baby faces. You mean to tell me Ricky Steamboat spent all day around this ninja or whatever thing it was and didn't realize
didn't know it was Paulie dangerously? No.
knowing human beings who's ever lived in both kayfabe and real life. He didn't know it was Paul fucking Heyman. So this ninja gets up and hits him with the cell phone. And they're like, who's that? God damn it. Everyone's stupid. The announcers are stupid. The babyface is stupid. I'm stupid for cheering for the babyface. This is all so stupid.
That knocked it down like a quarter of a star. That finish knocked it down a quarter of a star because this match was fantastic. But that whole finishing sequence where Heyman just decks Steamboat with the worst brick cell phone shot over the head you could ever see.
Yep.
Good freaking God. And then the reveal segment was even worse. Where they had the backstage interviewer. And then it's like, oh my God, it's Paulie dangerously.
Yeah, I can't figure out who would have a giant fucking cell phone that would be helping Rick Rude.
Yeah.
What did you give the match?
4 1/4.
4 1/4. I went 4. Like I said, stickler on finishes.
It was nearing 4.5. And I was
You stick a clean finish on it, it's 4.5 for me.
Yep. If you stick a clean finish on it. And this show was awesome. This also had the Barry Windham, Dustin Rhodes. This had 3 matches on the show that's on this list.
Yeah. I felt bad. I was kind of on... The night I watched it, I had to go work my night job. Not to get too inside baseball here, but I had to go work my night job. So I was kind of on a time crunch. So I load up Super Brawl 2. And I'm like, oh.
The first thing you see is Liger Pillman.
Yeah, and I'm like, I have to fast forward through this match right now. This blows.
This blows. Yep. But you got to watch possibly one of the greatest tags of all time. What a segue. Misawa Kobashi versus Kawada and Taue, Real World Tag League, final match, 12/3/1993.
Did you see any of my tweets after I watched this? I tried to not tweet too much.
A little bit. You're like, holy mackerel.
Yeah.
I was like all the stars.
Yeah. Holy Demon. Okay. Holy Demon. I say Bucks has the longevity in the resume because they got to work. We have so much more footage of them and so much more time. I say they're the greatest tag team of all time. Holy Demon Army, easily number 2. So good.
They stir up an argument. Oh my God.
Why?
Some people are like Midnight Express. Some people are like Rock and Roll. Holy Demon Army is
we have
really good though. Really good argument case.
I mean, I always just revert back to I think it was Case Lowe did an article for Voices of Wrestling about. I mean, he basically said the same thing as me. That it's the Bucks and Holy Demon Army. That's the ones you'd be arguing for as like guys with the most great matches that have been on top, that have, at least to me, I mean, I don't know, it made sense to me. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that Case Lowe article. Yeah, I forgot that article existed sometimes, and then And then people keep bringing it up, and like people are like, really, Young Bucks? And then it's like, yeah, the Young Bucks are the greatest tag team of all time.
Yeah. Read the article. Like, his case is made, and it's quite well. Pardon the pun. His case is made. But before I get us any more heat for my love of the Young Bucks.
I love the Young Bucks too. Don't get me wrong.
I mean, I was at that steel cage match with the Lucha Bros. You're never going to get me to say a bad word about the Young Bucks. So we'll get into the match, though. You want to start?
Kawada's freaking selling.
Yeah.
Can we just say Kawada sells like he knows he's on a mission?
Yeah.
All the smallest details are paid attention to. You say Ricky Steamboat's a great babyface. Kobashi's one of the greatest babyfaces of all time too.
Kobashi comes in here. The pop for him tagging in was insane. It was kind of like, seeing that pop kind of gave me the feeling of like last night, the Kenny Danielson match where there was the huge pop for the bell ringing and the lockup. I'm like, nothing happened, and this crowd is going insane. Literally a tag. Kobashi's coming in, and the crowd is going nuts for this.
Yep.
And the crowd was so hot the whole time. I mean, yeah, there was a vibe, like a real buzz about that crowd for this match.
Let me see what this match was. It was probably in Budokan.
That sounds right. By the way, I had never seen this match because by the time I got into 90s All Japan, like,
no, it's actually in Aichi.
Oh, really? By the time I had gotten into like 90s All Japan, I would be like, okay,
I got it wrong.
Got it wrong?
Yeah, that was Champion Carnival. Go on.
So 90s All Japan is such a great period of wrestling that when I first started like being online and trying to watch like as much 90s Japan as possible, it was just a daunting task. There's so many great All Japan matches that I never watched because I was like, oh yeah, let me watch all the great All Japan matches. Like, oh, there's hundreds of them. Got it. So yeah, this was my first time seeing this one.
Can I say this is better than the 95 match?
Man, I'd have to watch them both. That's tough.
It's tough. But this match is a little shorter.
Yeah.
The selling is the 95 match is phenomenal. Don't get me wrong. I have to watch that match again. It's 6/9/95 is forever ingrained into my brain.
Have you done that for this? Have you done that show for this? Or have you done
that?
No,
I've done. The only other match I've rated 5 stars for this is the Misawa Jumbo.
Okay. I fully agree with you on that one for sure.
Misawa Jumbo, Misawa Kawada, and then Okada Omega G1 from 2017. And then Manami Toyota, Toshio Yamada versus Dynamite Kansai, and Mayumi Ozaki for 2 out of 3 falls, WWA and AJW.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I'll fully agree on those. That was another, sorry to get kind of sidetracked off the match again. I actually had never watched enough Joshi either, like mid-90s Joshi. And last year when the restaurant I worked at, or was working at, shut down, I was just like, oh, I got all the time in the world. I might as well fix every blind spot I can. And I knew Manami Toyota was great, and I knew not just her, obviously, but man, incredible. Absolutely incredible. Yeah, back to the match.
This match is incredible.
It just is. All of my notes have exclamation points next to them.
That's all my notes too. It's like
I just have one. I don't even remember what part of the match I wrote this for. It's just like these strikes, like because I think Misawa and Kawada were just hitting the hell out of each other. I'm like, well, fuck yeah.
Yeah, it's just. What can we say about this match? It has a 9.61 on Cage Match.
Jesus. There's so much I love about their house
It's
style.
in Budokan. Yes, I was right. It was in Budokan.
Okay, that's what I thought. There's so much stuff about their like house style. I don't want to call it house style. Sounds bad, but I don't have a better. Just the King's Road style of tag match where it's I love the double submissions, like where Kawada and Kobashi will be in the legal men, and Kawada will put Kobashi in a hold, and then Taue holds Misawa down with a hold or whatever. I love how they pace their near falls, and they get the crowds to bite on every last one of them, but they don't have to do roll up 1-2 counter 1-2. Like they actually don't go too hard into the near falls for how they pace it.
Oh yeah, that's something I noticed. The pacing is something.
Yeah,
it's very good here.
Also, Misawa.
It's a madman. He's a madman.
He's one of those guys that just watching him move.
Natural.
Yeah, but he just moves different from everyone. Like, it kind of is the same feeling I get when I watch Kenny or
Okada.
So, like Prime Muta, where there's like this extra snap to how they move.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I just even like running the ropes. There's like just this extra little something to it. It's hard for me to describe, but
oh yeah, because that's probably the best way to describe it. How Kenny moves to how Misawa moves. It's like we're probably gonna get so much trouble for this, but like the way they move.
Muto, just say Muto. I tried to say this by saying Muto. Just say Misawa kind of has that same movement as Muto. It's not quite
but
the same.
All three of them just move so fluently, but they have that extra snap to it.
Yeah, like and it's watch Muto do his little elbow drop, or watch Misawa take off to go do like a tope suicida, or
watch Kenny do a V trigger.
Yeah, exactly.
Getting us in trouble. I don't care.
Am I okay? So I'm like super into like this current era of wrestling. So if we've got a bunch of laps that used to be better fans, I apologize. I love your era of wrestling too. I love all of this. I've been praising a match that happened. Valentine Backlund happened 7 years before I was born, and I praised it. And I last night, all I could think about, like when I was thinking about the best television matches of all time, I was like, I went back to when I was not even 1 year old. I started thinking about Flair, Steamboat, and Flair Funk, which if we ever get into Flair Steamboat or the Flair Funk matches, I have a hot take for this podcast. That's really
Flair Funk is great. Oh,
I quit.
You said that now.
No, I'm saying that is the Terry Funk match from December of 1989 is better than every Steamboat match that made tape.
Oh, I don't think that's much of a hot take, but
which I don't. Rokowski and some of those guys have told me they agree, but yeah, I don't know.
I agree with it.
Okay, good. I always thought it was like the super hot take because you never hear I don't know. I guess there's like this luster to the Funk feud that got lost at some point. I don't know. It's weird.
There's much more wildness to the Flair Funk. But we're talking about
Yes, sorry.
Kings Road. We're talking about Kings Road. Hey, Kings Road is.
You guys gotta forgive us. This is our first podcast together, so we're gonna go off topic a little bit here and there, just because we've never really reviewed these before, like reviewed anything with each other before. I apologize.
No, don't apologize. We did this often with me and Matt, and we're going to talk about wrestler cases and stuff like that. It's Kobashi Danielson 1-2 for me.
For all time?
Right. All time.
Last night I said Danielson passed Brett for me.
I don't know if Danielson passed Kobashi, but if Danielson has another couple of years like that, and then holy mackerel, it's Mike pass Kobashi.
3 years at AEW and New Japan. That man's going to wrestle Rey Fenix at some point. That man's going to wrestle Okada. That man's going to wrestle Ibushi. That man's going to wrestle Zack Sabre Jr. That man's going to wrestle. He's going to have a tag match with the Young Bucks. He's going to.
Yeah, he's going to eclipse Kobashi. But I have a soft spot for Kobashi because of the man, Kobashi.
Yeah.
But Danielson's a great man, too.
Yeah.
Both of them are great human beings.
And as we say this on the day of the worst day to be a wrestling fan of the week in 2021, Dark Side of the Ring Day, like, we need to really, especially after last week, really got to start looking at these great wrestlers that are actually great guys and giving them their flowers for it, because seen a lot of our heroes get exposed, and yeah, it's not great.
No, and it's like, here's my take on Dark Side of the Ring. It's good that we're exposing these guys. It's good, but sometimes it's like, it's good that we're exposing this, but sometimes it's best left unsaid. I don't know.
I think some of it is, but I think like an episode like last week,
it's not best left unsaid. It's not.
Yeah, I think Heidi, I can't remember her last name. I think her getting to tell her story is important.
Yeah, it is.
I think, in a lot of those cases it is. And I think Canyon's story tonight being told is important.
Canyon it's best to tell it.
Yeah.
I don't mean like it's best to leave unsaid just to cover it up. I don't mean that in like.
Yeah, I know. It's just
sometimes it's uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's hard to hear.
Yeah.
Okay, we gotta get way off Dark Side of the Ring.
We gotta get out of Dark Side of the Ring. Kobashi misses a moonsault.
Yeah, oof.
He misses a moonsault twice in this match.
Yeah.
Both times I'm thinking Kobashi. Kobashi's a big man.
Yeah. It's like, Kobashi, dude, in about 5 years, you're going to be thinking about this because your knees are fucked.
Yeah.
Well, more like 10. Right then. But yeah. I can't get over the crowd heat on this.
The closing sequence is just so great.
Oh my God. Okay, so I'll give a warning going forward on this. I really struggle once a match is either 4 3/4 or 5. I went 4 3/4 here.
I went for full 5.
Full 5. Man, it's just I was a little too hesitant, and I don't know.
I felt it. I just felt it. I was like, it was that leg selling.
It was, my problem was, I guess, basically I'm a giant fucking coward, and I couldn't pull the trigger and say 5 stars. That's basically my problem. That was a 5-star match that I gave 4 3/4. But if we're in a quarter of each other, we're not arguing.
We're not. No, we aren't arguing.
Yeah, but it's yeah, what an incredible match. Oh my god. I love Misawa's rolling elbow is like one of my favorite moves ever.
Yeah.
You could see why I ended up being a big fan of Bryan Danielson. There's a spot in there. Like, I don't understand. The crowd was so hot for every tag. The crowd came unglued for a bunch of stuff. Like the double Germans, which were like the most run-of-the-mill Germans you'll see in an All Japan 90s match, but the crowd still comes unglued for it. Yeah. It's just an match. Absolutely insane.
Also, wish you would have given this 5.
Should have given this 5. You know what? Fuck it. I give it 5. I'll change it.
Yeah, Meltzer gave it 5 at the den.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he did. Yeah, that was kind of like the thing I was talking about earlier with the All Japan matches, where it was like when I was young and trying to get into like all the All Japan matches, I'd be like, oh well, let me watch all the matches Dave gave 4.5 to, 4.5 or more to. Oh, this is hundreds of matches. I'm never gonna do this.
Yeah. It's sometimes it's daunting, but you're never gonna watch every wrestling match.
Yeah, but I mean, shit. I'm excited. I'm excited to be a part of this show, and to try to watch as much stuff like this that I've missed. Yeah, glad to be here. Glad to have watched that match because that was like the highlight of my day the other day. Yeah,
I'm actually going to randomize the.
So what we got for next week?
Ric Flair versus Terry Taylor. IWA Mid-South.
That is
385.
Yeah, that's on the
network.
Yeah, because it's on the best of
Mid-South.
Yeah, the best of Mid-South DVD that I lost like 10 years ago, and I still wish I had it.
It might be on the network. It might be.
We'll find it.
We'll find it.
I know we'll find it.
Eddie Kingston versus Chris Hero, IWA Mid-South.
There we go. Kingston, baby.
September 29th, 2007.
Okay, I have seen that, and that's very good. If that's the one I'm thinking of. I'm pretty sure I've seen that one. That sounds right. The date.
I think this might be the famous one from 91. The Kikuchi, Crawford, Kobashi, Furnace match.
Ooh, yes. One of, if not the hottest crowd I've ever seen in a Japanese wrestling match. Or in general. I shouldn't even do the separator there. Like, no, that just is.
Oh, this is a prequel. This is the prequel to the classic.
Oh, I've never seen this.
This is a prequel to the classic. And then Ric Flair versus Barry Windham.
Oh, yeah.
CWF Championship Wrestling from Florida. February 14th, 1986.
All right.
Plug chug chug. Plugged.
Well, shit. 2 straight weeks of Kobashi matches. I know you're a happy man.
I'm a happy man. I love me some Kobashi. I'm a happy man when I do this podcast because I get to watch great wrestling.
There's, I think we said this when we were on the phone with each other the other day. There is nothing better in the world than wrestling when it's done right. It's just the fucking best. I know nothing's worse than it when it's bad, but it's just the best thing in the world when it's done right.
Yes.
I fucking love wrestling. Yeah. Plugs. Our Twitter at Great Match Pod.
Yes.
My Twitter at Adam Yeary.
And my Twitter at DJD Kooks.
Yep. DJDKOOKS. Not to sound like
Thank you for showing out. And that will do it for us until next week on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. For Adam Yeary, this is Danny Kukler. Thank you for listening.
Check out the latest footwear innovation from Adidas, the Adizero Adios Pro 2, which features carbon fiber energy rods that are both lightweight and precisely tuned for a more anatomical transition. Everything from the ultra-light polyester upper to the re-sculpted midsole and the reinvented outsoles are designed for speed. Visit adidas.com to learn more today.
Gym sessions and sweaty summer activities are back, which means more funky smells in your clothes because sweat leaves behind bacteria that causes those hard-to-remove odors. Clorox fabric sanitizer products are ready to zap the stink out of fabrics in your home by getting rid of 99.9% of odor-causing bacteria. Eliminate odors in every load or sanitize fabrics between washes with one of our fabric sanitizer products. Search fabric sanitizer at Clorox.com to learn more. When it counts, trust Clorox. Use as directed.